Good morning, everybody. This is Richard back at you. You just got another turbo truck, no matter how you look at it. Just love them. Unbelievable. But anyway, this is Richard and Teresa back at you. We got Miss Annie hanging out again, always watching the house, staying warm. We got Marlon's 77 Chevy truck in the house. We just installed a motor, pulled the 350 out, fixed to build an overdrive for it, and we're going to be doing the rear end gears too. So we're really excited to get this vehicle running, get it up to par where this thing can run 70, 80 miles an hour down the highway with no problem. But we got a cord in the house, a 4L60, not an E, a 60. They're mid-year trannies. A lot of people don't know what they are. I asked for a 700 or 4L60. What's that? Well, I'm going to show you. Let's look at this. We're going to take the tranny mount off, kind of get some of the things that are on the unit when it comes as a cord that we're not going to use. Oh, tranny mount. The mount we're using is a 2-bolt mount. It won't have the studs. It'll physically be screwing 2 bolts into it. We're going to pop our governor cover off. Okay, put that to the side. Like I said, I don't know how bad this unit is, but
because it is a core.
It is a core. Of course, the governor gear, you can see right there how it's wore, right through there. Always want to replace the gear. You always want to look too, if the gear is good, you're not replacing it, make sure it doesn't spin in here, and make sure this shaft here doesn't wobble on the body. Okay? When it's cleaned up, this valve right here will move up and down. Stuck right now. When you take the governor gear off, you can pull this valve out and clean it, polish it, put it back in, put your new gear back on. Okay? Pretty simple. This does have electronic speedometer on the unit, but we'll be going to a gear drive speedometer system for the truck. Try to grab that, kind of pull it out of there. If you notice, they're a magnet. They collect all the trash. Now this is the electronic part that picks up the counter. You can see the counter right there. Okay. Turn this over. It's nice to get a core with the tail housing and stuff like that, because man, they're hard to find anyway, period. But looks really nasty in there. A lot of metal. Got a bushing seal. Take it out, clean it up. We have our yoke seal right here. Try to tap it this way, tap it that way. Once you get it kind of moving, you can usually kind of rock it off. Usually. If you can't, you can try to push it off.
That sure is moving a lot, that shaft.
Well, I hope the case is good. There you go. Of course, you have a seal down in here. Right there. Goes in there, then your yoke slides in and it seals it around there. It keeps fluid from coming out the weep hole on the yoke. Okay. Now we're going to be taking this off and putting a regular gear on there. But you want to look and make sure it's got the hole for the clip for the gear. See that hole right there? There's actually 2 holes under this, and you'll want to use the second hole, the inboard hole. Put the clip in, put the gear on. That way the gear's lined up perfectly with the center of this. If you put it on this hole right here, the gear's going to be set back and it won't line up right on the gear. That's not good.
No, that's not good.
What happens, this bushing right here wears out. The bushing in the tail housing wears out. The governor gear is underneath this shaft. There's the gear that runs it. So next thing you know, this shaft is laying on top of this gear, breaks it off, or it just starts wearing the gear out itself because there's so much force put on it. Now, when I put these back together, This governor will slide back and forth like this, and what it butts up against that cover. See that with that nub, like that. I'll take and put it and slowly tap this in right here to move the governor all the way forward to where it just moves a little bit. You don't want it doing this. It can pop the cover off. If you notice here, there's a hole for a clip here, and there's a piece under here that actually a clip goes on here and holds the cover on. Okay, but if the clip's gone and you get a lot of slack in this, backing up, throwing it forward moves this like this and knocks the cover off. Okay, so you just want very little clearance right there for it to slide back and forth. The 4L60Es, especially the later versions, the cover comes off real easy. But what I like to do is get my screwdriver in there, grab the O-ring, pull it. See how I pulled it? And once you do that, you can just usually pull it right off, see? Now if you notice, this piston was in backwards. It goes this side towards the cover. If you put it in backwards, what you're doing is you're shoving the servo farther in and taking up some clearance on the band. You're actually pushing tightening up the travel of the band by putting that in backwards. Now, a lot of times you can't get away with that. If you put it in backwards, you put it in, the band's applied. So you got to kind of check your clearances and stuff if you mess with it like that. I don't ever do it. I always use the original like that. Now in our servo here, we're not going to use this servo for sure, and we're not going to use a Corvette servo. We're going to go into the one that's in the middle, like that's in the SS Trailblazers or stuff like that. It's just a little bit different. You can see the difference here, what it looks like. Corvette servo, this is even smaller in here. This is the middle one. We don't want to put something in here that's going to bang like crazy, uncomfortable shifts or anything like that. We want this truck to last and let this gentleman enjoy it and cruise for a long time. We'll make a cruiser out of it. Our dipstick seal here, little boot. I sure hope this core is good, because man, these cores are getting very hard to find. If you notice here, we have our 4-prong connector right here. When we set this unit up to work, lockup work and everything on an early model vehicle, we're going to use this driver's side front corner is going to be our power. So we're going to have a wire coming out of this corner one right here that's going to go to a toggle switch, a fuse, to a key on power on the ignition side. That way, when you turn the key off, it kills all power going to the unit. But when you're going down the highway, if you don't want lockup to come on, you're cruising in town in 4th gear, tries to lug the vehicle, you can take the switch and turn the converter completely off. So it makes it really nice that way. Gives you a little bit of control. People like it that way. That way they can play with it and get it to where they like it, I guess you could say. There we go. This is what a core looks like.
Wow.
Metal there. Oh, look at all that metal there.
It stinks like no other.
Now this is a Planetary washer right here. You can kind of see the way it looks. Got that little tab on it that keeps the washer from spinning and the gear spins around it. Magnet looks really nice and clean. Oh, here's a big piece too. A lot of shrapnel. So anyway, this is our beautiful filter. I think it quit filtering like 50,000 miles ago.
Probably.
Really nice looking. Of course, we have our pressure switches here that tell the computer what gear the tranny's in. We have our temp sensor here. We have our lockup solenoid here. We have our auxiliary valve body. This is what makes it a 4L60. The 700 tranny does not have this auxiliary valve body. The 4L60Es does not have this auxiliary valve body. This is a mid-year unit for just a few years. They got away from it, went to the E's. You can see here your filter neck seal. You always want to, if you're servicing it, you want to take that out with a small screwdriver. That way when you put your new filter up in there, you're not stacking two of them together. If you do that, it'll break it, crack it right through here, start sucking air, burn the tranny up. Really common problem. Okay. We have our detent linkage here. Sticks through the case. When you push on the gas pedal, it moves this right here, pushes the TV valve in, raises pressure, stuff like that. We have our detent spring, park, reverse it to drive, all that stuff. Take it off. That's one ugly looking pan.
That's one stinky pan.
I'm telling you, huh? People, you could imagine what it takes to clean this unit up and make it work. The hours of cleaning, the detail you have to go into cleaning to make this unit work. Especially on this unit here, the TV valve's really bad about sticking, so it's got to be spotless when you build this unit back. You can see here the tabs that hold the tube on. Two little tabs hold it down, one into the pump and into the accumulator. Sometimes they have a clip on this bolt right here to hold it in. It goes over this little lip right here like that. And then sometimes they have it here. So you just never know. There you go. We have our lockup solenoid. Now we'll be using the wiring harness part of this. We'll be replacing this with a fits-all. Like that. We'll be getting rid of all this stuff. Getting rid of this. So basically we're going to be pulling this out, throwing it away, plugging it with a plug, taking this out and putting our 40 psi pressure switch in the 4th gear circuit, which is going to be this sensor right here. You can see the 44 psi. You can get these at Transtar. Raymond over there sells them to you. We do clip the clip off, or this end off here. We bend it up so we can put a female connector on it. And what we do is take and cut this harness up a little bit like this. Get rid of some wires. Okay. Now, I'm going to cut that off like that. I'm going to trim this all off here too. We're not going to use none of it except the power wire. Okay. Clip that off there like that. Throw that away. This, actually, I did it wrong. I needed to leave this on there. But anyway, what we'll do is this here is going to, I'll clip this off too because I'm not going to use this plug. I'm going to put a new end on it so it'll clip onto here. But this power wire right here, I'm going to hook back into the 12 volt right here. Got to look and see how it goes. It's going to be this one right here. Get this bracket off here, this little retainer. Okay. So this is going to clip in like that, and I want to use this wire right here. It's going to be the driver's side front corner wire. That way, I do them all the same that way. That way I know when I hook it up on the outside where I'm going with the outer wire. Clip that off there. Clip that off there. And what we're going to do, we'll clip this off here. We will solder this wire together right here. That way it plugs into there. We have our 12 volt power going from the ignition on, and this in here is going to go to the ground. So once it goes into 4th gear, it's going to automatically ground the solenoid, going to turn the torque converter on, going to lock it. You got your toggle switch. You can turn it off whenever you want to, but just remember, anytime it goes into 4th gear with the switch turned on, it's going to lock up and go into 4th gear on top of each other. It's going to be 4th gear lockup. So pretty simple. You can notice this linkage here has that little nipple right here on it, this little tip. Goes down in this hole right there. if you notice, you can see a shiny check ball down in there. See that shiny check ball? Can you see it right there? Okay. That has to go in there and lift that check ball up. And that's, if you notice, see how it picks it up when that moves, when you give it gas? Picks that check ball up and comes back, seats it back. Not all these linkages have that tip on it. If you put a tranny together with a ball in it and you put a linkage on there that has no tip on it, then you're in trouble. The tranny's not going to work. So what I do is I always leave the check ball out, period. Never put it back in any unit. That way, if I go get a unit off the shelf, I can put it in a car and the linkage doesn't have the tip on it. We don't have to worry about it. So it doesn't mess with the R&R guy making a mistake. So just leave the check ball completely out. I'm hoping everything in this tranny can be destroyed but the pump and the case. I have everything else. The pump we'll have to hunt down if the pump's bad. But
Which won't be easy.
or I'm making one bolt here. Cores are hard to find. You know, nowadays they crush the cars with the motors and trannies in them, so it's hard to even get cores. And a lot of places, wrecking yards nowadays, you buy the tranny outright. You don't get they don't want the core. So, of course, this valve body is going to be every valve in it's going to have to come out and be freed up. It's just so much metal. You can see your TV valve down in here. I can move it a little bit with a screwdriver maybe. But this is a free floating valve, so when you give it gas, it goes forward. When you let off the gas, it free floats back. If it doesn't free float back and it stays forward, the next time it shifts, it's going to bang into gear so hard when it shifts, and it'll be delayed shifting. High RPM, just really knocking it into gear. A lot of things we do to this tranny to make it work a lot better. I mean, your Transgo Junior shift kit works really good. Your 500 boost valve works really good in the pump, along with your reverse and intermediate boost valve. We use them as a combined together. Actually, you can see it here, Teresa. If you look here, boost valve, intermediate / reverse, and then we have our 500 boost valve right here. Okay, this one here, this here stacks on top of this one. Helps it a lot with manually shifting, boost pressure. Gives a lot firmer shift when you're in the manual gears. And then, of course, we have our Junior shift kit. We're going to upgrade this with a 5-pinion forward Planet. We got a new reverse Planet too. Wide band Z-pack, bushing kit, pump kit, and basically everything right there to make it a really nice unit. Like I said, this guy here, he just wants it to last forever. If you see this hole here in this plate, you can see that little tiny hole right there. A lot of these trannies do not have that hole right there. And that hole right there is a big cause of clutch failure. So if you get one in here and it doesn't have that hole, your Junior shift kit's going to tell you to put the gasket on here. Look for the little teardrop. Put the hole in the end of the little teardrop right there. So this has the hole in it. We're going to go ahead and enlarge it to the specification of the shift kit. Give it a lot better shifts. A couple more areas that we're going to be modifying the plate to give it a lot firmer shifts. So this gasket on the valve body and the case side is all to itself. It will not fit a 700. It will not fit a 4L60E. These gaskets only fit an auxiliaries type unit. Now you can see our big old check ball we were talking about. Right there. Yeah, right there. Okay. Oop, there it goes. Let me grab it. The check ball is bigger than any check ball in the tranny. Just remember that. Okay, guys. Look what we got, a window here. Isn't that crazy?
Why is that?
Well, that plate has got severe damage. I'm looking for another plate real quick. I got one laying here somewhere. What'd I do with it? I don't see it. I don't have to go. It's got to have a new valve body plate, but this plate should not even have this hole in there. If you see, here's the quarter size piece of the plate that has been physically beat through the.
Oh, wow.
See?
Yeah.
And what happens is the way this spring's made, I'll get this off here. Let me show you. We have an 8 down in here. Got 10s, an 8. Did you see that check ball fall out right then? This check ball sits right in there. Some of these have 3 little prongs that hold the check ball in from falling out, but some of them don't. The check ball will fall right out, and you have to put a check ball in there. Okay. Now this here's your forward accumulator, right here in spring. Of course, you want to check the piston for any wobbling. Make sure it ain't wore out or anything like that. Get that out of there. There you go. Make sure it ain't all just chewed up on the outer edges where the seal runs. Make sure, take the seal off, clean it up, stick the piston back in there and see if it rocks. If this is wore out, replace it. Don't do no good to replace the seal if the pin board's wore out. Then it's going to leak around here and not move the piston too. So that's something you want to remember. Now here we have our plate with a hole in it.
Oh.
Okay. If you look down in here, there's going to be a piece down in here that I'm going to take out. And I'm going to put it back on this spring right here. And what it does is, if you notice this spring's big here, and it goes to a cone here. See how that cone's down? To like a cone. Well, that cone puts so much pressure on that plate right there in the center that it just blows it out. It just shoves the spring through there. If you notice, this spring here has a lot bigger surface area, bigger than the hole. So it's going to press on the outer edge of it. But once they made that cone spring, it's such a small diameter that it just finally works its way through the plate. Plus this plate right here is cheap, it's thin. So definitely going to have to get an aftermarket plate and put in there. We'll block this just like we normally do on our 4th gear accumulators. And then same here, we'll take this out, look at it, make sure it's not scarred here. Make sure the pin does, or the piston doesn't wobble. 99.9% of the time, 100% really, we have to change both pistons. You can leave a weak one in here, but always put a good one on top of it. That way you do have one good piston sealing. Same way with here, make sure you put a good piston in there. And like I said, these gaskets are special because of this area right through here where they added the auxiliary accumulator. This bottom and top are special. They're different. Gonna turn our output shaft so we can get to our 13 down in here. Get that off there. Of course, you have your check balls. If you notice, no check ball here, check ball here, check ball here. You notice there's a check ball in this trough right here. There is a check ball here for your 4th gear accumulator, but we do leave that out. Once we block this up, it don't need to be in there anyway. But this does not get a check ball here. If you look here, where that is, if you flip it over, the gasket's got a place for it, but there's no dual holes. Anytime there's a check ball, there's going to be 2 round holes side by side, just like this one, side by side. That's why there's a check ball there. If you come over here, if you look here, 1 round hole, no hole. You cannot put a check ball in there. If you notice here in the valve body, the trough is there for it. But if you look at the plate, there's no 2 holes. So you cannot put a check ball in there. You'll plug that 1 hole. It has to have dual holes to have a check ball. So just remember that. A lot of your instructions on your Transcar kit can explain that to you. Plus your junior kit will explain that to you too. So you got check balls there. We can pop them out. them out of the way. If you notice here, this got a check ball here and a capsule, will not come out. If the check ball is missing, it doesn't matter. Don't worry about it. Don't have to put another one back in there. So we got our band anchor here showing through. You can see that. And we have one dirty pump. Always double seal your bolts. You got an O-ring in here you can pop out, put a new O-ring in, but always put sealing on your bolts, especially down here on the bottom where the fluid goes from the pump through the case. That's where you're going to see most of your fluid entering your bolt holes. Of course, we have our boost valve assembly down through here. We're going to reach down in there and get that out, hopefully. See if I can pull it right out with no problem. Of course, I'm going to have to put my spectacles on. I only got one contact in, so I'm kind of blindsided there a little bit. Some of these are hard to get out. Come on, going out of there. Of course. Come on, baby, get out of there. Sounds like somebody's here.
Yep, perfect.
There's so much metal in this unit that I'm going to have to really take my time on cleaning it. Oh, it's Brandon? Okay. My son-in-law. Got your bolts here. Basically, this is your pressure regulator valve through here. We're going to be removing and putting our new boost valves and stuff in there. We have our lockup valve through here. Of course, everything's stuck. Main thing is we want a good pump. Actually feels pretty good. Got a little shadowing going on through there. Of course, we have a 10-vein pump rotor here. Looks nice and clean.
Yeah, go left.
Like I say, we're really looking to get a good pump out here. That's what we mainly need. Got our slide springs in. Got our slide. Rusted already in there. It's already wore plumb out. Of course, we have our pivot pin. Just remember the spring on the pivot pin is not connected like the 6L80s. They are separate. Put the spring in, drop the pin in. Okay. Of course, we want to go through here, clean all this up, and look for any wear in here. Feels good, but you never know when you got a pair of gloves on till you get it cleaned up. So definitely want to hopefully get a good pump out of this ordeal. One thing good about all of our 4L60E stuff will fit right in this unit, except the pump and stuff. Of course, we have our band here.
Toasty.
Toasty, definitely. Of course, we're going to put a really nice one back in there. Pump washer. See if this will come off.
Ugh.
Must have went over your head.
No.
It didn't?
No, probably not.
Okay, let me smash it or drop it over here real
I'm
quick.
going to get out of the way.
Okay. Normally I can pick that up off there, but there must be some crazy stuff going on in there and let the clutch fall down here a little bit or something. But if you notice here, we have a small hole in here instead of a big square hole. You want to check the drum here for any warpage or boat in the middle. You want to put a flat edge across that. What's up, Brandon?
Hey, Rich.
Her son-in-law.
The man with the plan, right, Brennan?
Oh, I don't know about that.
That's basically, you want to put that across there, put a flashlight behind there, and make sure it's not bowed in the middle anywhere. Because our new band, since it's wide, it's going to cover from here all the way to here, where the narrow band, you can see, just barely covers the drum. Where the new band's going to cover the whole drum. So you don't want any of this going on in there. But remember, if you got a small hole drum, you have to put a small hole drum back in there. If not, you're going to have a harsh reverse. Of course, the reverse clutch is gone too. You can see it's smoked. Not too good so far. Also, make sure these fingers ain't flared out. They're bad about high RPM, drum spins, tremendous RPM. These bow out and start cutting the case through here. So you want to make sure none of these are bowed out. And they did not make a 4L60E drum with a small hole, so you're going to have to find a drum if you ain't got one. Of course, we have our little bearing here. You always want to check it, change it, because you'll have a whining Parker neutral. If that bearing's bad, you're going to think it's a pump whining. I think we got enough clearance in our 3/4 clutch. Looks pretty wore out, Brennan.
Pretty, yeah, no doubt.
Of course, you can come in here and apply that clutch through this hole right there. See if it applies it. There you go. See that? That's like 1/4 of an inch. But it still applies. Look at that.
Shocking.
I think it's weak though.
Does this have those little springs in it?
It should have, but I believe somebody took them out. Load springs are totally gone. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 clutch, of course. Which we'll put a 14 clutch back in here and put the load springs back in. I don't know why people are still leaving them out. Not a good idea. Messes with clutch and band timing a little bit when you leave them out. So, highly recommend putting all the load springs back in. If you're leaving them out, put them in an envelope, send them to me. I'll take all you got. Right, Teresa? Because I'm tired of buying them. Seriously. Every unit I get in there, they're like $3 a piece, and there's 5 of them. And people take them out and throw them away. So, send me a bag of them for free. I'll pay the freight. Forward clutches, just all original stuff. Nothing aftermarket there. Of course, remember me talking about if the unit, if the Planetary assembly gets burned up in the back, it's 90% of the time it's going to be this seal problem right here.
That's broke.
Yep. Your lube oil comes out of this hole. This seal seals it to the output shaft. Once your seal breaks, all the lube oil falls out, doesn't go through this hole, falls out through here. Next thing you know, the planets are melted in the back. Very common problem right there. So we know that's trashed. Get another piece of it right there.
Oh, yeah.
So
We just need a good case. Come
we just need a good
on,
case.
be good
And I want to be able to get it apart. That's the main thing too. When the rear planet burns up, you're always going to get it apart. When the front planet burns up, a lot of times you're never going to get it apart. Our front planet.
Pray to the transmission gods.
Yeah, maybe I spoke too soon.
Maybe. You want me to hold it?
Nope.
Maybe the floor so it doesn't bounce.
No, it's got to come apart a different way because I haven't got the snap ring out of the planet back there.
Right.
To let it come out. Of course, this is going to be one that you can't get into to get behind to pull this out right here. the output shaft would come out if I just knocked it out the back, but it'll come out. But the rest of this is messed up behind it.
Right.
So, man, I want to get that out of there. I need to drop it on something a little bit firmer.
Yeah, but that table bounces.
Right, I'm going to try to put it over here real quick and see. There you go. Sometimes you just got to be rough with it. But you can see down in here, this is where it's all going to be trashed at. That's all melted. This plastic washer used to be there. We couldn't get it out because it's messed up through here. That's why it wouldn't come out off the sun gear and stuff right here. Got your inner sprite brace. Get this out and see what it looks like. Of course, we'll put our output shaft back in it. That way I can shove it forward and then pull it back out, get it out of the way, and then pull this out. Okay.
There's been water in there or something.
No, it just looks good.
Yeah.
This looks good.
Oh, goodness.
Of course, you can see the low reverse clutches. We do have a wave, which on this unit here, I'll be leaving the wave in it. It's not going to be manually shifted a ton or anything like that, so we really don't need a quick release on the low reverse clutch. But let's see if we can get this apart. This Planetary semi, there it goes.
Oh, my goodness.
There you go.
Look at that.
This sun gear is totally stripped. There's no gears on it at all.
I've never seen one look like that. Never.
Of course, all of this will be trash. You can see the outer ring gear, bearings hot, just totally smoked. That's why I ordered another rear planet and stuff, because I already knew this was probably going to be trash. But all this happened right here because this little seal right here broke. This seal sets on here just like that, seals it to there from the input drum. All your lube oil comes through all these holes and lubricates this rear planet right here. And once that comes to a halt, first time you got on the highway, it didn't take but a few miles and it was done that quick. These will just sling totally dry. Pretty crazy.
You think the case is good?
If you look down in here, the support doesn't look stripped or anything like that. So I think that we're good in that area. It's just, man, what a mess to clean up. I mean, you'll have 4 hours easy of just with a pick trying to get all the metal out of this unit, because if you don't get it out, the new fluid's going to find it, wash it, go through the filter and stick your TV valve or something like that. It's going to cause you a bunch of headaches. And that's one thing I do not like to do, is pull a pan and have to mess with any of my units. I expect to put them in and work the way they should work right off the bat. So, well, anyway, we want to thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, push the notification bell.
Yeah, he needs a breather, can y'all tell?
I mean, we just tore down a 6-speed, so we've been busy. But anyway, y'all have a fabulous weekend Friday. And let me tell you something, go Cowboys. Go Cowboys. Have a great day.